So I go out for a few days, touch some grass, and every top sprinter and their dog runs a new world lead.
Come forward! Seville finally wins this national title!
A group of the world's fastest under-20 athletes all threaten Gout. On the track, that is. Off the track, they're pretty cordial.
Gout, my boy, how you doing, man?
And high school prodigy Quincy Wilsons loses the final race of his high school career. Which begs the question, is it finally time to discuss his form? So, where else to start but a new 100-meter world lead? And in an ironic turn of events,
Off they go!
The 2025 world champion Oblique Seville wins his first ever Jamaican national title in a bit of a barren field.
Seville finally wins this national title!
In terms of running, Seville really just has a perfect race pattern. He's out with Blake and Ebanks, who started flying. Blake specifically, a world-class 60-meter sprinter, and once he does get rolling, he rolls with the best of them. 982 with a pretty flat wind, his finish looking a little funky, like he couldn't decide if he wanted to ease or not, and a sneaky 993 for under 20 athlete Gary Card, but we'll get to that a little later. As I've already alluded to, this Jamaican champs was a bit naked. No Kashane Thompson, no Brian Lavelle, they're both off injured, which means they can't qualify for the Commonwealth Games, but can still run at the World Ultimate Championships. So in terms of a Jamaican title, this was about as free as it gets. This is now Seville's third fastest 100-meter ever, and if we're going by exacts, it's faster than what he produced at last year's Jamaican Championships, and this one was held earlier than last year's, even if it was only by a week. So there's a good chance, leading into World Ultimates, Seville is looking to run even faster than last year. But I hear you, he ran bad at Texas the other week. He's in shaky form. Well actually, he also ran bad last year, right before the Jamaican trials as well. So doing a little bit of theorizing, Noah is on track to run a PB after his 988 earlier this month, and a 150 world record on top of that. Seville is also pretty clearly on track for a PB, with Kashane Thompson out, and Ajayi not properly yet battle tested. It is a pretty early call, but considering all the circumstances, these two are more than likely going to be the guys this year. And they're both heading into it in the best shape they've ever been at this time of year. Or if you do really want to be pedantic and argue it, they're equivalent to their best years, but the thing is, once you've done it once, it becomes significantly easier to do again. And I would say this with complete confidence if Seville wasn't limping off after the race. Now, this could mean nothing at all and everything all at once. Funnily enough, just like last year, Seville was also battling with injury around the same time, almost pulling out of the Jamaican Championships final, as well as doing this funky number in the semi-final, before, of course, eventually going on to win the World Champs. And if we're really getting down to it, last year he did look in worse condition, so I am optimistic. Maybe it's just a niggle, maybe it's nothing because he was walking completely fine almost immediately after, but as the odds currently sit, I'd bet on both of them going 9.7 this year if things keep going as they are. And if I was to admit my hopes and dreams, please let them move up the top 10 of all time list, just above Fred Curley at the least. And while the men's side seems to be dwindling down to a two-man race, the women's just keeps growing in depth.
Off they go!
Shericka Jackson running her fastest 100-meter since 2023.
Forward! It is Tina Clayton! Shericka Jackson gets it!
And if Tina Clayton wasn't such a rocket out the blocks, Jackson's start might have looked a little bit more impressive, before rapidly closing on Clayton, keep in mind the world silver medalist, without as much as a dip. Man, it's good to finally see some good Jamaican closing speed again. 1081 the official time into the minorest of headwinds in her first 100-meter of the year, but what I was really excited for this final was supposed to be a matchup with Elaine Thompson-Herah, who pulled out after a rough semi-final, which, you know, as disappointing as it is, it's just typical at this point. Now Jackson has been in some fine form this year, this 100-meter being her fastest since 2023, but also her 2187 200-meter is also her fastest since 2023. But why does 2023 matter so much? Well, here's a little lore for those of you who weren't there. 2023 Jackson was absolute cinema. She ran 10.65 in the 100 at the Jamaican Champs.
Imperiously, and she steps away.
10.65!
And finished with a silver at the World Champs. And then a silly 21.41 in the 200, genuinely challenging a Flojo world record, as well as a gargantuan gap into a world title. Now, since she's running times from this year, is she headed into this type of form? Most likely not. That year she was running fast early. A 10.82 in April is fiendish. And obviously 10.65 at the Jamaican trials that year, almost 0.2 faster than this year. But it is looking near identical to her 2022 season, which was a slower build into basically the same times. Holy shit, we're so back. And considering we've finally seen her juicy top end speed again, there's no way she's letting Hodge finish this year with the world lead. 21.5 incoming. And in saying that, can Thomas, Jefferson wouldn't, or maybe Hodge if the NCAA season didn't kill her, keep up with a theoretical 21.5 Jackson? A lot of signs would point to no. Speaking of keeping up though, surprisingly, Sha'Carri Richardson ran even faster than Jackson at a home meet in Florida.
Women's 100 final.
And the less than stellar local competition, plus Miller-Ebo, because she's a beast, just not a 100-meter runner, makes the race look more impressive than it is. Which makes it sound like I don't appreciate a 10.77, which isn't true, but it makes it difficult to properly gauge her race against lesser competition, especially when we're trying to look at her start from a head-on camera angle. Funny enough though, the time is basically identical to Jackson's, converting them using a wind adjustment calculator, but to be blunt, her 10.77 is a bit like Beneric's 9.72 from last week, which was illegal, but that doesn't matter right now. Like undoubtedly, I trust they're in good form for them, and will beat almost anyone. But you get them lined up against other world beaters, and you learn very quickly where they're really at. I just don't know when it comes to Sha'Carri. Maybe that's the charm. But it's frustrating because she's not inconsistent due to injury, like Jackson. She's just unstable, in more ways than one. And consistency just happens to be one of those ways. But in good news, we'll get to find out soon enough if she's really back anyway. In 2 weeks, Jackson, Richardson, Jefferson Wooden, and the Clayton twins go head to head at the Prefontaine Classic. So message to all the Sha'Carri fans, meet me outside the parking lot at Prefontaine to beat on me if she ends up winning. Pro tip, she won't. So as we know, Gout ran 19.67, an under 20 world record in the 200 meter. He's then gone on to since run 20.6, getting a flood of hate, and then a 14.96 in the 150 meter behind Noah Lyle's world record. And immediately, the Gout lover's back. You guys are more bipolar than I am, zero patience generation. But at the US under 20 track and field champs, Tate Taylor would break the American high school 200 meter record for a second time this year, running a strong bend, before chasing down Hamilton, who has also ran sub 20 this year, just windy.
With work to do, the long strides of Tate Taylor, trying to track him down. Blake Hamilton will finish second, but Tate Taylor...
1994, and if it matters or not, yes, this was ran at Hayward Field. This is Taylor's second sub 20 of the year, as he ran an impressive 19.97 against a pro field, verifying his closing speed. So the question is, in a month and a half's time at the under 20 world champs, who do you have? Gout has the PR, but is inconsistent so far. That narrative can change very quickly if he runs well from here on out. While Taylor seems to be more consistent and getting faster race by race. Plus, Hamilton isn't outside the conversation either, he's a verified 20.0 guy now too. And he really forced Tate to work for this win. And even then, when we dropped to the 100 at this event, Tate lost to his training partner Jake Odey-Jordan anyway, who's been running banging times right behind him all year.
Tate Taylor giving chase, but it is Odey-Jordan!
And in all honesty, it really just looked like Tate had no power in his drive phase, probably because he ran 200s this weekend as well, and just couldn't quite gain on Odey-Jordan in the close. 10.01 is a European under 20 record for Odey-Jordan, who's British, and cool little fact, this was a record previously held by Lemaitre, can't keep his name out my mouth, and even then, it's not like the conversation stops here. Doing a bit of a flashback, remember Seville destroying everyone at the Jamaican trials, in second was 19-year-old Gary Card in 9.93. He turned 19 this month, so he'll be on the line against Taylor and Odey-Jordan in the 100 at the under 20 world champs. Just think about that for a second. These three toe-to-toe at the under 20 world champs in Eugene, Oregon, the supposed super track, and the under 20 world record is still that 9.91 from Tobago where he was waggling his finger. Not only is world under 20s going to be exciting from a matchup perspective, but that record is going. And I know I missed a lot this week. Bowles returned to the 800, tailing Audrey Wero into hell, and I've already mentioned it at least 3 times, but Lyles being in all-time shape with his 150 meter world record, I seriously think he'll be revisiting 19.3 this year, but I really do want to talk about Quincy Wilson and his running form. At the same Nike under 20 US champs,
And away we go.
Wilson would lose his second 400 meter ever at a high school level since 9th grade, getting hawked down in the home straight by Jaden DeLeon in 44.52.
Tucker in lane number 4, Quincy Wilson into the home stretch. De Leon trying to make up for the near loss indoors, and he will do it.
This is the same young athlete who almost beat Wilson at indoors, and overall, the result isn't too concerning. They're both getting faster for World Under-20s. But when it comes to Quincy, win or lose, there's always talk in the comments about his form. Objectively, I get it. It's ugly and raw, and goes against what most would consider efficient. But is it really? Because in the 400, I don't think it actually matters. And to prove that, I just looked at some of the top 400 meter runners ever. Right off the bat, there's Quincy Hall, the 2024 Olympic champion. Raw, aggressive, and even wilder than Wilson. Butch Reynolds, number 3 all time, had arguably a cleaner stride, but his arms were wild and his head back. Christopher Morales-Williams, the indoor 400 meter world record holder and world champ. His might even be worse, since he's also slightly rotated to his right. Then there's Jonathan Sims, who is now the second fastest under 20 all time as of this year's NCAAs. He has some solid flailing and waggling going on. And then there's Josh Hoey, and yeah, he runs the 800, but he's a world record holder, and look at those elbows of doom. When it comes to the 400, unlike the distances below or above that require some sort of relaxation or finesse for efficiency, the 400 is so brutal that choosing to run how the event feels, which is utter agony, just works. I don't think the argument to clean up his arm swing and maybe tilt his head forward is wrong, but what he's doing is clearly a proven strategy, and that's why, in my very scientific opinion, this is the hardest event on the track. And yup, that's this week's messy video. I'm back home now, so hopefully a bit more thought will go into next week. Bye bye.